Hi everyone, it's Dr. K, and today we are going to talk about attention. I don't think it's any secret that everyone in our society today is struggling with attention. These don't help, right? And it's not just students, it's adults as well. So today I hope to give you some tips and tricks and ideas for how to better manage your attention so that you can be more successful, not by my standards but by your own, so you can meet the objectives that you care about. Tim Wu, in this book, The Attention Merchants, we are in a time where we've sort of accepted the unrestricted, unregulated mining of the human consciousness, the harvesting of human attention. We are the resource, and I think it takes its toll. We all know this. We all know that major tech companies make money by selling us advertisements and by mining our data so that they can better advertise to us, but also so they can sell that data as a product of its own. We are, whether we're cognizant of it or not, always being mined for our attention. You know that this is a serious topic that both academics and ordinary people are struggling with. You can see this by the New York Times bestseller list over the last couple of years. This book by Johann Hari, Stolen Focus, has been hugely influential on my thinking, and you're going to see some of the data and suggestions from it littered throughout the rest of this presentation. But I agree with him that what we need is an attention rebellion. We need a fundamental revolution in the way that we think about and practice attention in our daily lives. So, since we're talking about big tech companies mining our attention, I thought I'd ask one. Google. This is what Google's AI says about the interruption recovery, or the amount of time and effort it takes us to refocus our attention on the task at hand after an interruption. And that interruption can be as simple as a text message alert or a new email. So for simple tasks, it takes about 8 minutes to reorient our focus and regain momentum. Might not seem like that, but it's happening behind the scenes. For complex and creative tasks, the ones that hopefully most of us are engaging in during school or work, it takes 20 to 25 minutes to rebuild context and resume a deep, undisturbed concentration. This is the kind of concentration under which you're going to accomplish your best work. While we often think we are multitasking by quickly glancing at emails or notifications, each check acts as a context switch. It sets a new 23-minute recovery clock. And this is what Google's telling us, right? Based on work by the University of California, Berkeley. But Google is admitting that their technology causes these issues. So Johan references this study by Hewlett Packard. They tested workers' IQs when they were not being distracted or interrupted, and then they tested them again while they were receiving emails and phone calls. What do you think happened? Technological distraction, just getting emails and calls, caused a drop in the worker's IQ by an average of 10 points. That's twice the impact of smoking cannabis. In terms of being able to get work done, you'd be, according to this research, better off getting stoned at your desk than checking your text and Facebook messages. This is not an endorsement of drugs. This is a condemnation of the technology we ordinarily assume to be harmless, but in fact is causing grave damage. One study at Carnegie Mellon University took 136 students and got them to take a test. Some of them had to have their phones switched off, others had their phones on and received text messages. The students who received messages performed, on average, 20% worse. The interruption, not the talking, not texting back, not playing games, not going on social media, just receiving the messages, dropped student scores by 20%. A study by Professor Michael Posner at the University of Oregon found that if you're focusing on something and you get interrupted, on average, it takes 23 minutes. That's that number that Google cited earlier, for you to get back to the same state of focus. A different study of office workers found most U.S. office workers never get an hour of uninterrupted work in a typical day. So if for months or years we are constantly getting interrupted in the state of something productive, it's going to scramble our ability to figure out who we are and what we want. We become lost in our own lives. So, how do we reclaim attention? First, we have to reject the multitasking myth. You are not being more efficient. You're certainly not being more productive or producing more high quality work if you're multitasking. So do one thing at a time and do it well. You have to practice paying attention. It is a practice, and intentionally use that practice to develop discipline and skill. You need to keep in mind that every social media app you use means a new sophisticated machine is vying for your attention 24/7. Highly sophisticated algorithms deliver you content selected to create addiction. It might feel random, it isn't. It's purposeful, intentional. So think about what competes, right? If the media apps have to catch your attention, who or what are they catching it from? Your family, your friends, your community, the physical fitness you presumably want, the natural world you could be out in, the art you produce, the learning that you're doing at school. These are the things. We don't often put it like this, but these are the things that compete with social media for our attention. And I think if you just decide which side of this ledger is more valuable to me, you're going to get a lot of insight into your own daily life. Attention is a scarce resource. And when we consume content, it's a zero-sum game, which means that we're not gaining both. We're sacrificing one for the other. Remember that we develop skills through repetition. This is how humans learn. We try something, we fail, we adapt, and hopefully get more successful. So in sports, I practice to get better. I get stronger, faster, more agile, and more strategic the longer I play. In relationships, I practice loving, supporting, and cooperating with my partner. Every day I learn how to be a better husband, brother, friend, father. In school, the more I practice that difficult math problem or that long essay, the better I'm going to perform. We know this. We know it intuitively. When I practice doom scrolling, what do I get? The company got ad revenue. Maybe they got an additional subscription. They got more popular influencers and more active users. I didn't get anything. I'm being used, and we need to wake up to it. These are the top companies on the US stock exchange as of today. We got Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Samsung, Facebook. These companies need you more than you need them because you're not only their customer, you're also the product. It's not the other way around. You don't need them. They need you, or else they wouldn't be at the top of our economy. I love this picture. Just look at it for a moment. What do you notice? What I notice is that the only person in that room who's not wearing a headset is the person making the money, the person who's determining the technology and what the technology shows you. This should disturb you. So, two takeaways so far. You're not distracted because you're weak. You are distracted because powerful forces are working to make you distracted. The key to success is having strong self-defense. You can practice attention just as you practice other skills, and it's going to get easier over time. Each of us has thousands of thoughts each day. Think about it like a funnel with a wide mouth. And intelligence means that we have a greater capacity for attention. Hopefully, over time, the mouth of that funnel gets wider and wider and wider as my abilities grow. But wisdom means that we choose which thoughts deserve our attention. Because if you notice, when that funnel gets thin, there's no longer room for all of those thoughts that I gathered. So how do I decide if I've got limited space, which ones are going to get attention? That's where the judgment fits in. That's where the wisdom lies. Most of us never even ask the question. We allow ourselves to be on autopilot, paying attention to the things that are easiest to pay attention to. That's not always the most rewarding. So, the objective: preserve your attention, be intentional, direct your attention where you want to direct it. And that means establishing goals. So, how do we practice attention? Here's a simple meditation technique. You don't need to believe anything to do this. You don't need to have any spiritual or religious practice. This is simply a technique. Try sitting in a comfortable position, close your eyes, and set a timer for 5 minutes. And during that 5 minutes, all I want you to do is pay attention to your breath. Notice how it feels coming out your nostrils, or how it feels rising and falling in your chest or in your abdomen. Pay attention, and if it helps, count or silently name your breath. In, out, in, out. If you want to try this out, pause the video for 5 minutes. Try just paying attention to your breath. So if you did that, what do you discover? I imagine if you're like me, your mind wandered. You probably remembered some things, you imagined some things, you ruminated, you questioned why you're wasting 5 minutes on this. And some call this a monkey mind. It's a mind that jumps from topic to topic to topic and often seems random or unorganized. In fact, a variation of this meditation technique might be that I ask you to close your eyes and for 5 minutes, think of anything you want, but don't think about monkeys. You know what's going to happen? You're going to be thinking about nothing but monkeys. And that is delusional. It is delusional for our minds to constantly be doing things that we don't even want them to do. But that is the nature of a mind. We don't have control over all the random thoughts that pop into our heads during the course of the day. It can be triggered as simple as somebody saying monkeys to you. What we do have control over is which of those thoughts do we grant our attention? Which of those thoughts do we give power to? If I'm writing a research paper about monkeys, that's probably a pretty useful thought. But otherwise, I'm going to spend more time chasing that monkey and less time doing the things that I want to do. So, what to do? While you're meditating, notice your thoughts, but then return to focusing on the breath. You don't chase the monkey. You notice the monkey. You say, it's an interesting monkey. and then you return back to the breath. This is practicing attention. It doesn't have to be the breath, could be anything that you choose, but it's something that you can practice paying attention to. And the better you get, the more you can control the direction of your own attention. One way to do this that I find valuable is using lists. So I make a list. Every day I make a new list and I divide it into categories. I got my work, maybe I'm a student and I have school. I have personal things I want to do, and I have things I want to do for fun, right? Now, I imagine that if you're anything like me, you don't structure things this way. Well, maybe you sit down and write that history essay, but a few minutes in, you get a text message and you're like, I wonder what Joe is doing, right? Or maybe you're like, this YouTube video looks really interesting. I'm just going to watch it just for a minute and then I'm going to go back to my task, right? Or maybe, this notification opened on TikTok and it'll only take me a few minutes to watch this video that I want to watch. Instead of doing that, letting something hijack your attention, if you're working on that history essay and suddenly you have a thought like, oh, I really want to call Tim later, don't stop and call Tim, add it to your list. That's a really interesting TikTok video I want to check out. Don't stop and watch it. Add it to the list. If I get a notification on my phone, don't go check it. Unless I'm, waiting on an emergency text or something. But ordinarily, don't go check it. Put it on the list. It may seem simple, but you can put check TikTok on your list. You can put respond to text messages on your list. And that gives you control. Because once it's on the list, I can take a moment and consider, do I want to give attention to this right now or not? That's how we regain our control. We don't allow our mind to be compulsive. We make it conscious. Conscious, not compulsive. I make conscious choices. And if you're anything like me, when you finish one of these things, especially something in the work or the school column, and you get to cross it off, well, that's a moment of celebration, right? Maybe I create discipline or I practice discipline by rewarding myself in those instances. I got something done. Now I can go do that thing that, I really wanted to do that I put in the fun category. Use the list to structure your choices. Nothing is too small or insignificant. If you want to do it, put it on the list. If you're reading or studying or writing or even watching a movie or chatting with your friends, if you're doing something and while you're doing that thing, you have an idea or a desire to do something different, add it to the list. Don't switch tasks. We already know that when we switch tasks, it could take us 23 minutes to return our focus. Another thing that I recommend to everybody, especially in these modern worlds that are so complex, where there's so many things vying for our attention, is keep a calendar, right? I think you should do this in addition to the list. It's not a replacement for the list. I also recommend having one calendar. I know many people keep a personal calendar or work calendar. That might be helpful, but have one that everything's on and add everything you want to remember. Nothing is trivial if you truly want to do it. Put it on the calendar. And that way, each day I can look at my calendar. That's going to help me prioritize my list. What is the newest deadline? What is the most urgent deadline? What's the highest priority? Calendar plus list structures my decision making. And you need to constantly remind yourself, you're not a computer. You don't operate the same way every moment of every day. Your brain changes, your personality changes, depending on the context you're in. Sometimes your values and your priorities change. So you've got to always come back and remind yourself of the things you want to remember and accomplish long term. So I don't want to lose focus. One of the things I do on my phone, I have is my lock screen. Are you sure? Look, here it is on my actual phone. Are you sure? Because if I compulsively reach for my phone, the first thing I see is a question. Hey, are you sure that you want to look at Instagram right now? Are you sure that you want to go shopping online? Are you sure that you really need to read the news updates right now? Adding that second to question yourself helps you maintain long-term discipline, not just short-term. Remember your objectives. What do you actually want to accomplish? Remember your intentions. What did you commit yourself to doing? And by doing this, you force yourself to act consciously, not compulsively. Are you sure? Take a moment and ask that, or force yourself to ask it. Am I taking this action compulsively? Is it a habit? Is it a routine? Or am I taking this action intentionally with purpose because I actually want to? Remember that at the end of the day, it's your attention. Use it to further your goals. Don't let it undermine them. I think that if you do these things, maybe they don't work for you. Try them. What do you have to lose? Try out a list, try out a calendar, and use those two things, your list and your calendar, to structure your goals, to think long term, to be intentional. I promise this isn't just going to make you more successful at school. This is going to change your life. It's worth it.